Okay, this video is about child psychiatry and the Catholic Church, a comparison. And the first question is, who harms more children, child psychiatry or the Catholic Church? It is true, the Catholic Church has a problem with pedophilia, but it is rare. I went to a Catholic school in 8th grade. My brother went to a Catholic high school. Neither one of us ever heard of a single case. So yes, I know what happens, but it's not that common. How many of you know a kid in grade school or high school diagnosed with AD, ADHD, or childhood bipolar and put on psych meds? Tons of kids. I don't know the exact percentage. I've read different things, whatever it is, 5-10% of kids nowadays. It's a lot of kids. And it's quite obvious. Go ahead and read the long-term outcomes for these kids. They're terrible. There's lowered IQ. They have accumulation of psychiatric problems and pills. There's tons of books. You can just find the papers. You can read, Whitaker. You can read any of these experts. It's obvious, okay? At least the Catholic Church and Catholic schools do some good stuff. They provide a pretty good education. It's better than the public schools from what I've seen. There's far less substance abuse, teen pregnancy, teen violence in the public schools. In the public junior highs, every weekend, there's drug dealing and sex. In my 8th grade year, for an entire year, this is back in the 1980s, that was back in the 1970s, there was 0 fights the entire year, 0 people having sex. I would have known about it. And this was, what I noticed from seeing both places is, in the Catholic schools, the teachers were in charge, the nuns were in charge. In the public schools, it was kind of like the bad kids were sort of in charge of the hallways and the social life and everything else. In Catholic high school, my brother tells me this, and I've got other friends, other guys who went there. If they goofed off in class, they would get spanked with a paddle. You'd have to bend over, you get hit with a paddle. My brother had a lot of funny stories about that, okay? And I know other guys who've gone there, and they all tell me the same thing. Not a single one ever was traumatized by it or injured by it or, is obsessed about it or has a psychiatric illness from it that I'm aware of, okay? On the other hand, nowadays, that would be so terrible to spank a child. But they'll drug them. They'll drug them and keep them on drugs their entire life, lower their IQ, lead to all kinds of other psychiatric problems, and make them incapable of employment and going on disability. You will be amazed at the long-term neurological deterioration in kids put on chronic psychological medications. They're terrible. Nowadays you piss off a teacher, they're not going to spank you. They'll just send you to the child psychologist, will drug you. The Catholic priesthood can't fix itself because it's corrupt, and it won't allow married men to become priests. That's sort of a hopeless situation, and it's just going down, and it's not going to be able to fix itself. Also, they're castrated by the tax exemption rules. Child psychiatry can't fix itself either. It's making too much money dealing drugs to children. Do you get that? These ivory tower psychiatrists giving drugs to kids, they're worse than these pedophile priests, and they're worse than the drug dealers on the high school campus. They keep these kids on drugs with the parents' allowance for years, and it leads to a lifetime on drugs. You got all these Ivy League doctors that go to psychiatry meetings, and they promote drug dealing to children. Do you realize how sick our society has become? Childhood attention deficit. Now they talk about not only attention deficit, well, this child's depressed, needs pills. This child has bipolar, needs pills. They're even giving them sometimes to infants. It's insane. And people say, we just need science. Nobody needs love. Nobody needs religion. Well, religion tells you to be nice to people and tell the truth, and that's valuable, okay? In pure so-called scientism, this is what I've seen a bazillion times over. Lying, advertising of drug dealing or other bad things called science, okay? It's ridiculous. Thomas Szasz said this back in the 1960s. Giving psychiatric medications to children is poisoning them. Bregan, the other psychiatrist, he said this as well, that there is no reason to give these. You'll hear it from Whitaker. This is the low-hanging fruit. This should not be done, giving these psych medicines to kids. And there's plenty of other people who hear this. This is not like some opinion of mine. This is well known amongst anybody who studied this and doesn't profit from it, okay? Attention deficit drugs are the gateway drugs to these kids ending up on multiple psychiatric medicines for their entire lives and having impaired intellectual performance and quite often becoming multi-drug psychiatric patients incapable of working on disability the rest of their life. It's terrible. And then also, you always hear people say, well, if I lived during the time of Robespierre, Hitler, Stalin, or Mao, I wouldn't have gone along with what they say. Yeah, right. Here you are, you got all these child psychiatrists doing these terrible things, and no one ever talks about it. No one says, boo about it, okay? Yeah, right.